All right, we've hit on this issue a number of times, but I want to hit on it once more, considering the potential impact that this is going to have on our entire nation, and that is Ohio tomorrow voting on issue 1. That's tomorrow, Tuesday, August 8th, is when the fate of issue 1 is going to be decided. And according to one of the latest polls, and done, in fact, by Ohio Northern University, it looks like it's a dead heat. Like 42.4 are in favor of issue 1, 41% disapprove. That leaves those small numbers in the middle that are going to decide this. So if you're in Ohio, or if you know people in Ohio, make sure that you get engaged now. Well, joining me now from Ohio to remind us what's at stake is Aaron Baer. He's the president at the Center for Christian Virtue. Aaron, welcome back to the program.
Hey, thanks for taking the time to focus on such an important issue for us here in the Buckeye State.
Well, it is extremely important, not only to the Buckeye State, but to the entire nation. So let's begin with this, and assuming we have some viewers or listening or listeners who may not be totally up to speed on this issue. Give us your 1-minute elevator speech. What is at stake? What's going on with issue 1?
Yeah, so at the core of issue 1, it's a really straightforward constitutional amendment. It elevates the threshold to change the Constitution to 60% of the vote. Right now, Ohio is one of only about 10 states that allows citizen-initiated petitions to change their Constitution with only 50% of the vote. Again, compare that to the U.S. Constitution that requires 2/3 of Congress to pass, plus 75% of the states to ratify. And you can see how Ohio's Constitution is a little bit strange in that way. Now, it really highlights that the flaw in our Constitution is really highlighted when you see what the left is doing in America. And I think, Jody, to your point, this shows why this is much bigger than just Ohio, is that since the Dobbs case last year, the case that overturned Roe v. Wade in June of 2022, Planned Parenthood and the ACLU and the abortion industry have really been going state by state to pass their radical abortion on demand and up until birth without parental consent initiative in statutes, in state constitutional amendments, pass them at the ballot box. And Ohio is the only state they're coming after in 2023, and they're actually looking at anywhere from 8 to 11 states in 24. So that's really what's on the line here of why we need to pass issue 1 to protect our Constitution from these dangerous ideas that rob parental rights and attack the unborn.
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up. This is not something that's going to stay in Ohio. The battle is starting there, but they're going after all states where there is a potential, they think, to change the threshold for a constitutional amendment in those various states. Now, there was a prayer rally yesterday. I saw Abby Johnson among many others who were there. Tell us about the prayer rally, how it went, and what kind of turnout.
Oh, this was what was just so exciting right now is we're seeing the body of Christ in Ohio rise up like never before. They understand that in order for us to preserve the American promise for the next generation, it's up to us today to fight for it. And that was really the message that came across yesterday in Norwood, in really the Cincinnati area. We had thousands of people come out for an issue 1 rally that was headlined by Abby Johnson, but also Jim Caviezel of the Sound of Freedom. It was just a blessing for these folks to lend their voice to Ohio right now, and really to this pro-family, pro-parent, pro-life movement that is being sparked here in Ohio right now to encourage folks to go out and vote yes. I will say, you often hear about the silent majority when it comes to elections like this, and we saw them stand up and roar yesterday. And I think Tuesday, tomorrow, if the church rises up, if Christians turn out to vote, we'll see victory, and it'll be very clear that the body of Christ delivered it.
That's awesome. All right, that right there is a national call to prayer. Each of you watching, listening right now, now is the time to pray for tomorrow's vote in Ohio. Aaron, I want to, obviously there's a lot of opposition and there's a lot of deception in all this. I want to play a clip, and then I want to give you an opportunity to set the record straight. Play clip 5, please.
If issue 1 passes and we have a 60% requirement, that will allow 40% of Ohio voters to be the decision makers.
All right. Set the record straight for us here.
Again, so this is just the left's lies because they have nothing else to go along with this. The bottom line is all we're talking about here is how we amend our Constitution, right? The Constitution is something that those foundational principles go into, right? It's not a place for policy making. It's a place for foundational principles. The reality is we're not touching any of the other processes for changing law. So we have initiated statute in Ohio that allows the voters to change the law with 50% of the vote. We have the legislative process that allows voters and the republic that we formed to change the law with 50% of the vote. All of those things stay in place. All we're talking about here is how we amend our Constitution. And that's the thing that these guys don't want to talk about. They're lying about this entire time, is that because our Constitution is so easy to amend, it invites George Soros and all these leftist causes to come in and flood the zone to change the foundational document of the state, which basically can't be undone with just enough money. We're keeping the power with the voters by saying that we're not going to allow special interests to come into our state and pour buckets of money to manipulate the Constitution.
Aaron Baer for the Center for Christian Virtue, thank you so much for keeping us abreast of this critical time in Ohio and in our country. We're grateful to your leadership, and thank you for joining us this evening on Washington Watch.
Always grateful to join you. Thankful for FRC for always being first to the fight whenever we need you in the States.
Thank you so much.